update you if we get visual.
It's never over. What we saw just in the last week, you know, the movement of those two lionesses, it's like new discoveries. We didn't know they did that.
For the past week, we've spent in the Hoanib River system, where we have been following the respective prides of the Hoanib River system. First, we started with the main pride of the Hoanib, which is staying more to the east of the river, where we had a male, two lionesses, and then two cubs, where we got to spend about 4 days with them, where we've picked up incredible information about their behavior. You know, how inquisitive some of the young ones were to come over to the vehicle and all that, getting to really know and understand how they really do behave as well. The idea was for us to get to collar one of the females, so that we can replace the collars with a GPS satellite early warning system collars. And then on the fourth night, we got together with Dr. Flepstander, and then we set out bait, and then we waited there for the lions to come closer so that we can get to dart one of them. But it so happened that it was a bit of a mission that specific night that we were out there, that even Dr. Flepstander said that it's not a normal occurrence for him or normal experience for him, since he's been spending for the past 20 plus years in this area working with the desert adapted lions. But an interesting thing played out that night, whereby the male first came through and he got half of the bait, and then he went off and he was busy feeding, and then left a little half for the lionesses, and then they came through. They tried to share a little bit of that, but it so happened that something went down there, that the two of them got down at each other, a very vicious fight they had. And then from there they moved on. And an interesting behavior that we also picked up earlier on in the day before the setting up the bait and all that was that we were tracking that pride of the Hoanib, and we got into a valley where we got hold of them. But once we got sight of them, they started to run off. So it was a thing that was pretty much what Dr. Flep was talking about, is that whenever they are within the main river system, closer to the camps, they are a lot more relaxed, and they associate themselves with the safety that comes from around there as well. But the moment they move away from there, they start to get flashbacks of the previous experiences that they've been going through within the area, where they are a year and a half old cubs were also shot at a time whereby the farmers were facing also difficulties, and they pushed their cows into the river system, and then they were sharing the same food source or same river system ecosystem with the lions as well, because lions do not know that the cow belongs to somebody else, but it just sees it as a wild animal as well. So that's how they went for them, and then that's how the 3 cubs were lost the previous litter as well. So from there, we basically, under the instruction of Dr. Flip, we somehow called off that baiting and trying to dart and recollar the lioness, and we just let them go off into the mountains so that we don't really aggravate any other behavior from them. So from there, we focused our attention on the floodplains pride, whereas the orphans, the 3 orphans from the XPL 55, which one of them called Charlie, was staying with XPL 69, which is her aunt. So her aunt passed away a couple of months ago, but since then Charlie has been looking around for her aunt, trying to reconnect, because that's the only lioness with whom she had good contact or communication or coalition that she has formed over the time that she's been moving around here, and they were very successful in them being two of the floodplains pride, because the floodplains pride had to break into two parts as well, whereas Alpha and Bravo, the two sisters of Charlie, had moved off towards the dune fields, and into the dune fields they started to hunt on cormorants by the Oasis Springs, and then from the Oasis Springs they ventured westwards, and then they made contact with the ocean, and then that's where they were preying on the seals, more cormorants and some beached whales and so on. That's what they were, marine diet that they were basically having. So they've really found an alternative food source at the coastline, which deters them from any human-wildlife conflict as well, same as for Charlie herself as well. But now currently we spent 2-3 days with Alpha and Bravo, but we also tried to look for Charlie as well. We've covered more extensive scanning, tracking and all that we've done in the area, but we couldn't find any tracks of Charlie herself. So after the sighting, the last sighting that we had for the day for Alpha and Bravo, they decided they're moving off into the gravel plains to the south. And yesterday morning we picked up tracks heading in that direction, and so we thought that maybe Charlie could have called what is maybe in that area, and then she tried to communicate with the two of them so that they can reconnect and then re-establish their coalition that they've got as well. But unfortunately Charlie didn't make contact with them, and we just had a sighting of Alpha and Bravo, which was an incredible sighting in a setup, or should I say in a scene in which you don't normally see desert adapted lions as well. So it was pretty much awesome to have them out there to really get to experience the diverse sceneries within which they are also moving around as well. It's been 2 weeks of visiting different areas where an ordinary Namibian doesn't have the opportunity to see, but sort of getting the insight of how you do your job and the areas that you cover, the distances that you cover, the terrain in which you go through as well, the challenges that you face. Like yesterday morning, we had to come and rescue you after getting stuck and so on. And these are the insights that we get from you, and it's indeed a humbling experience for all of us to really get to meet you and get to work with you, and then and discover more parts about Namibia as well.
Yeah, Alpha, I think in the end, I think it's an absolute privilege to be able to live here and work here. I mean, it comes with some sacrifices and compromises, but I do see it as an absolute privilege. I think back of when I started as a very young, inexperienced person working in Etosha, at age of 18 or 19. And I remember being involved and working with all the old experienced rangers of that time, the likes of Chris Eyre and Garth Owen Smith. And I mean, there were many really sort of significant individuals, Rudy Lutie, people that really sort of taught us the basics of the ecosystems and the wildlife in the area. And I still remember so clearly being given a job to work on the lions and the spotted hyenas and the carnivores. And I took that quite seriously at that time. And I'm still trying to find the answers to the questions that we had in the early 80s. And that I think where it comes down to the importance of a long term, the investment that one makes really only pays off in years to come. So I feel like at the moment I'm probably the only one of that group of people left, but I'm still trying to do the job that they asked me to do 30 years ago. So yeah, it is a privilege to be, but the importance of that long-term investment, and for us to understand the system and to try and manage it, we really need to put in the hard yards, and I think that's sort of what we are still trying to do. So yeah, no, it's been a privilege to be here.
Indeed, and a privilege for me to get to meet you and work with you as well.
Yeah, look, Alpha, I mean, we've worked together some years now, and again, that to me is an example of that investment. You worked here as a tour guide. You saw, the orphans, probably the first person to see them. And now you're still here, and they've grown, and I mean, so we build on our knowledge, and we build on our perception and understanding, and our passion for the area. So, you know, that's really a good thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a great time to share that with you, and yeah, I do hope that what we've learned, that we can show the world and the support for the area. I think it's been a brilliant, very nice time, and it's a privilege to be part of that. Thank you.
Although we haven't managed to get hold of Charlie herself, but it doesn't stop here. The search for Charlie still continues. As once we are out of here, Dr. Flip will still continue the remarkable work that he's doing, together with all the other partners that he's got, and then we will try to get hold of Charlie and then put a GPS satellite early warning system collar on her, so that we can at least monitor her movement and understand where and why and how she's busy moving around as well.